Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the Chancellor for that response. This year, interest on debt is expected to total £111 billion. This is 8.3% of total public spending. Wow. What are the Chancellor's plans to rebuild confidence in the gilt market, and how confident is she that we won't be reliving the worst bits of the 70s again?
Chancellor?
The best way to make sure that we continue to have the confidence in the gilt markets is to keep the Tories and Liz Truss as far away from running the economy as possible. We have brought stability back to the economy, and there has been 5 cuts in interest rates. This is in sharp contrast to the disaster of Liz Truss and the clown show that we witnessed at the Reform Conference at the weekend. 2 parties who would lose control of spending, push up mortgage costs and inflation. They've done it before, and they would do it all over again.
So Desmond Swain.
So why does she think that the United Kingdom is being charged more in interest even than Greece?
Chancellor.
Well, the spread on our gilts over the central bank rate is actually lower in the UK than it is in Greece. So maybe you want to look again at his evidence. The truth is that we've had 5 cuts in interest rates since this government came to office. We are paying high levels of interest on the debt. The debt was accrued by the party opposite, who destroyed our economy and public services all at once. And we are fixing the mess that they left.
Look, Becca is asking a perfectly reasonable question. Interest rates are at 111 billion. What are we going to do? Are the 70s coming back? It makes perfect sense, because the 70s were basically the book on chaos. But what's Reeves's answer? The best solution is to keep the Tories out of the economy. It's basically a childish reflex. It's like when you ask someone in class, why didn't you do your homework? And they cry, but he didn't do it either. That's the same logic. Is that the economic vision of a whole government? And look, pay attention, he says. Interest rates have been cut 5 times. Okay, fine. But when did interest rates peak during whose term? He talks as if there were no such picture. By the way, Desmond Swain's question was spot on. Why are we paying higher interest rates than even Greece? Greece, I say, the symbol of crisis. Reeves, however, dodges the question. The spread is actually lower for us. He's trying to lull the public with technical terms. Our problem is that the interest bill is getting bigger and bigger, and people can't afford their mortgages, and you're telling fairy tales with fancy words like that. So, do you think Reeves can really fix the economy, or is he just trying to score political points? Write your comments, let's discuss it, and don't forget to like and subscribe to support this kind of content. Now here's my favourite part of Reeves's speech. It wasn't us who created the debt, it was the Tories. Seriously? Everyone who has sat in power for decades is shouting, "You did it," at each other. But whose pockets is this money coming out of? Ours. That's the reality. The country's finances have turned into a childish squabble. And let me remind you, Reeves says, we brought stability. What stability? Market prices are still skyrocketing, energy bills are crippling the public, debt servicing is at an all-time high. But taking the stage and saying, at least we're not like Truss, doesn't solve anything. This country has surrendered to the mentality of we're not worse than them. Look, this reminds me of Starmer constantly saying I'm not Boris in the past. It's always the same strategy. You don't define yourself, you just vilify the other side. But the people's problems, their bills, their debts, those remain on the table. Do you think Reeves is trying to get out of this by clearly passing the buck to the Tories? Let's discuss it in the comments. And if you've watched this far, don't forget to like and subscribe.